We're live.
Oh,
We're live.
okay.
Sorry. Hi.
Hi.
Me and Dale were just catching up. I have known Dale McCarthy for, oh my Lord, like a long while, like almost 20 years probably, or less. Doesn't matter. Point being is time flies. And we have reconnected, and Dale McCarthy is an animal communicator, and she has been for as long as I've known her and longer. And I wanted to bring her on the Adara Live show today because we want to talk about our pets and what they're really saying, and is it possible to hear their thoughts and hear the things that are really going on for them. So Dale, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, and wonderful to see you again.
I know, right? We were like, blah, blah, blah. And then I was like, oh, we're live. So do tell us a little bit about what animal communication is so that people can get an understanding for that.
So animal communication, some people have maybe heard of like an animal behaviorist or a pet psychic or a horse whisperer, dog whisperer people talk about. The difference between an animal communicator is a behaviorist, say like Cesar Millan. He works on the animal's tendencies and what a dog actually does and their instincts, right? And he works with those, so it's more behavior. As an animal communicator, I actually get the thoughts. And people will find this bizarre. They're saying, you actually get what the animal's thinking. And I go, yes, and the stuff they share is absolutely amazing. So I don't want any information before a session other than the name, age, and sex. If they know a breed, that's it. And the reason I don't, and not even a picture. And the reason I don't want that is because when I do the session actually for the people and I tell them what the pets shared, they know that I've connected, because if I don't have any of the information of either they share their personality, they share actually what they think of their owners, behavior issues, health issues, they share all this information and where they fit in the household. And so when I tell them this stuff, they know, they're going like, how would she know this? I mean, I did a session for a woman in California, and I have no idea even where she lived. And I was able to tell her about her pet, and she had a friend with her when we were doing a conference call like this, and she was just blown away because she goes, I don't understand this. And she said, we need to have a while to resonate and go over this because it was so right on, but it's so much to take in. So yeah, it's different because I actually get what they're thinking.
Very cool. And so how long is the session usually, and how does it work? I know you can do it in person, but you can also do it online and over Skype, right?
Yeah, so I've been doing around the world because that's what's neat now with different versions of being able to do it. So, I've done a cat from Spain and a horse in France and a dog in New York, etc. So what I do is actually the night before, I have the owner do a permission, and it's saying to their pet that they want them to communicate with me. I do their own. About 2 hours before a session starts, I sit down and I write. And people will say, well, how do you know it's not your thought? Well, I get the weirdest things. And so I now, because I've been doing it for 16 years, I trust what I get. I write it down. I don't question anything. And then what happens is that that's about 2 hours. I start the session with all the notes I've written, which usually answers any questions they might have. It's about an hour and a half. And right. In that, I start with all the notes. Then we go through some questions they have, but most are answered already. And so it's amazing because what the pet shares just blows away most of the owners.
Yeah. And sorry, those are sessions can go from like an hour to
an hour and a half. Like I did one on Monday. It was an hour and 50 minutes. I've done one before where the animal had passed on a year before, so their energy is still around even if they're gone.
Wow.
So that session was shorter. It was only probably an hour and 10 because there wasn't any issues to deal with. And the session, it's funny, I did on Monday, when I was finally getting the name, age, and sex of the animal, I right away got some information saying, sorry, there's a whole bunch of passed on animals you've had that we also have to talk about. So her passed on pets wanted her to know that they wanted to talk and be part of the session as well. Well,
so what do some of the owners walk away with in regards to insight around their pet?
It varies. So I'll give you an example of one I did. Usually what happens is that if it's a behavior problem, it gives them, the pet lets me know what the behavior is without the owner telling me. It tells me why they did it and what the solution is. If it's a situation of trying to decide whether to let the dog pass on or not, the animal lets me know when it's ready or how it's feeling and what's going on with it. If it's uncomfortable or in pain, it shares all that. So what I feel I do is I give the owners confirmation because they sort of know. It gives them also the feeling of release, of not stressing or worrying about what's going on, and also solutions. Nice. So they can figure out what to do.
Right. That's so amazing. Very, very cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've been wanting you to take a look at our Indy, and she was just making some noises there while you were talking, which was quite funny. So we'll have to do that after this, and then maybe we'll have to do a follow-up with everyone and let them know what kind of insights we got from that. That's very cool. And is there any animal that you don't like? Which all animals can you communicate with? I mean, how does that?
Like I started with horses. Yeah. I didn't know I had this ability. It happened. And I was on a workshop that something was not even to do with animal communication. And I was doing a workshop, and it was about using your energy to move horses, as they're one of the most authentic beings. And what happened is that someone saw what the information I was able to get. And the woman who was putting on the workshop from Arizona, and she's an author, and she said, "You're the most amazing animal communicator I've worked with." And I went, "I'm what?" And so I start with horses, and someone said, "Oh, do you do dogs?" And I went, "No, I don't think I do dogs." And they asked me a question, I went, "Oh, okay, do dogs." So I usually do horses, dogs, and cats. I have been asked to do a rabbit. Pretty boring. It did share the right information, but, you know, and it just depends. Like, I mean, it just depends on your involvement in the household too, right?
Exactly.
I haven't tried birds, you know, and of course with humans, I get information on humans as well, which is sort of how I really started. But I love the animal communication more because I think that people know more how to deal with themselves, but with their animals, they really want more information because they're unsure.
Yes, absolutely. And how old were you, or when did you know that you had this gift, or have you always been intuitive, like even as a little girl?
Yeah, I remember as a youngster, people would ask me questions and I could give answers. And I'd also actually be able to answer the question before they even finished it. So they wouldn't need to. But, you know, we all have intuition. It just shuts down, right? Because either society doesn't say, well, that's not real, or you're in school, or whatever the systems are. And I think I sort of let it go. And when I was 25, I sort of got back into it. And then I got married and totally shut it down. And it was so funny because when I got divorced, everything just all started to open up again. And I went into a different realm. And the most important thing is accepting and trusting. And as soon as you do that, more comes in. And I just think of when I first started, I did practice session, which I'm glad I did. And then after that, it was like, now I just get such wild information that it just blows me away and the people away. But I understand why I get it now, because it's like, whatever comes in makes sense.
Very, very cool. Very cool. Okay, so if anybody's interested in having a session with you to understand and communicate with their own animal in their own way and get some information, do they just reach out to you via website? And
yeah, my website is dalemccarthy.com. That's DALEMCCARTHY.com. So dalemccarthy.com. And it explains some of the things. I've got examples for some things that the animals have shared. And I think, you know, like I just even did one the other day, and the woman let me know it was the last dog. And I didn't know what that meant, but I wrote it down. I said, it's the last dog. And I said, so I said, it's the last dog you have, but it's also the last dog you're going to have. And she broke into tears. She says, that's what we're discussing right now. And it also used the terms to me, it won the lottery when it got into that house. So I go, okay, that's a weird way to put it, but I write it down. And it's so funny, when I told them that, they both started laughing because that's what my husband says to the dog all the time. You've won the lottery by living here. Now, that's a term that I would never come up with. And also one of their passed on dogs let me know and apologized for, you know, being upset when she brought another dog in. And she said, but I didn't have another dog then. And then she remembered that she did. She adopted a dog for short term and had totally forgot about it. But the passed on dog was mad at her when she did it. So apologized for saying, I understand why you took this dog in, but it really hurt me. So there's information I get that's just, you know, at some point they forget about it or they don't realize, but when they hear about it, it goes, oh yeah, that's so true.
Very cool. Very cool. Okay. Well, I encourage you. We did well. That was 10 minutes.
Oh my God. That's fast.
Right? It goes by so fast. If you'd like to reach out to Dale, I will definitely leave her information below this post. And yeah, if you have any questions, I think feel free to make some comments. I'm sure we'll come back and answer those for you. So thanks so much for tuning in. Thank you, Dale, for being here. And I look forward to catching up with you more after we end the broadcast.
Thanks. Thanks for having me.
Take care.
Bye.
Don't go anywhere.